YouTube, Damo_23 here. Welcome back to another episode of Leicester Reborn. In today's episode, we've obviously got the typical pre-season, end of season talk about the squad, what we're going to sign, and where we're going to move to moving forward in the save. Since last episode, not much has happened. It was the Champions League final. Go check that one out. I'm still a little bit salty after the goals we conceded. We conceded some absolute utter bullshit. We lost 4-1, all 4 goals. You'll have a look at. We're pretty unlucky. The penalty, it is what it is. Outside the rest of them, the other 3, absolutely silly. With that being said, though, without further ado, let's get into today's episode. We obviously did win the title. We were predicted to finish 8th. And there we are as well. The Matildas are on the break here. Mary Fowler scored. I reckon we're 3-0 up. Matildas are 3-0 up. Let's go. There's too much sport on. I've got the cricket on one screen. I've got the Matildas on another screen. It is what it is. With that being said, look at the team. We're meant to finish 8th. Our best team, according to the paper, well, we do have some injuries here. Is Velez is obviously not at the football club because he's on international duty and stuff. Our best team is probably on paper. Elise probably definitely goes into there. And if we were to pick our best 11, that would be it. Obviously, it's a pretty good team, but I think we got 2 ways we can go with this. We won the Premier League. We've made the Calvary Cup the last 2 seasons, so we're pretty close to completing England. And this team got to the Champions League final. It's only going to get better. I do think, and I really want to turn this into a youth-only sort of homegrown challenge. I want to do that sooner rather than later. However, it's still early enough in the save. It's only season 6 that maybe we should enjoy a couple of the better players around. And what I'm meaning is, what would you do? Straight away off the bat, I think he would go, and I think that's what we would sign right now, is a centre-back and a left-back. Not because long-term, and to be fair, Luke Thomas would be the perfect backup left-back if we signed an actual left-back, but I think that would make us a little bit of a better team. Now, if I was to pick our best 11 here as well on the bench, you'll have a look at it, and I'll be like, look, if we make these changes, we could have a really world-class squad. That's the thing, right? Is I was to do this and I was to do that and move Carter into here, we could have a really well-cast squad. We could do this. We could maybe finally loan out Marcos Vinicius. At left-back, we could have Luke Thomas. And Drewsbury Hall we're going to sell. And it would be, I think Reyes would be ready. I'm going to loan out Nestor for 1 more season. Reyes is ready for me to play minutes and become as good as I think he can be. Right, as well. Right, and you've got Alex Scott being Alex Scott. Right? So far, if that's my backup, that's not bad. And to be fair, I'm almost thinking of having Tamori and that as the back. And I'm thinking of signing 2 big-name centre-backs and a left-back to make this team elite at the back. Because going forward, we're world-class. If that's your back 4 on the bench, is Carter, who's a pretty good Premier League right winger, a right back, or right wing back, that would be in most teams. Tamori, who would be in most teams to start with. Linus, who's going to become one of the best centre-backs in the world, right? And Luke Thomas, who's been playing for me at left-back the last 3 seasons. You're in a really good spot. Followed by Scott, who is a 3-star player and is really good. Followed by Reyes, who's got a potential wonder kid. Followed by a guy in a season's time that is going to be, I think, outrageous with 5-star potential. You're in a really good spot, aren't you? Look, I've made no lies of it. I think right wing, we're in a bit of trouble. Kane Fuller, for me, does not move. I do think he's going to be one of the best midfielders going around, so he's going to be on the, he's going to be still in the team. And we still think Yaya's Yaya, and, we've still got Silva on the bench. I actually think Silva on the right, Kane, Yaya, and I really do think it's now time that we either start playing Garcia up front, who can play up front really well, and can do a job, and I think that's what we are going to do, or we start playing one of the other kids here off the bench, like Shaquille Phillips now, who, by the way, is 6 foot and really good at what he does, and I think it's maybe time we start using him. But straight away, you're looking at this team going, okay, it's not too bad. I really do think it is Shaquille Phillips, by the way, who goes in here. I really do like the look of him, right? If you look at this team, you're like, okay, it's not too bad. You got more in there. Let's just go put Ivan Ramos in here. And lucky last, we'll just go put in Preston, because why not? You look at that team and you're like, that's pretty good. You got a world-class keeper. You got a world-class right back. You got 2 really good midfielders. They're not world-class, but on paper, they match so well. And he got a world-class front four. Yes, Velas is 3-star, but we know that he's only going to get better, better, and better. And then on the bench, you have a world-class right back, a wonder kid centre back, not world-class right back, a potential world-class right back, a wonder kid centre back, one of the better centre backs in the world, and a pretty good left back. A midfielder that's a wonder kid that could become one of the best midfielders in the world with Alex Scott. You've then got Silva, who would be starting in every other team and would be starting for me if Elise wasn't a thing, or if Velez wasn't a thing. You got Fuller, who's got potential to have 21 stats of 15 plus, and you got Yaya on the left, who is world class. And then you're taking a punt on a guy like Phillips, who is 19 with those stats, and I think if we've got a couple of seasons under his belt in first team football, he's going to become very usable and will get the 3-star, which is a really good player, if not better than that. You also got the like of a Justin that we could sell. You got a Moore that is only 16 and developing. And to be fair, even if I don't sign a centre back and I only sign one centre back, Moore as your backup other centre back at 16 years of age is cracked, very good, and it'll be interesting to see what we can do. Lest we forget, we still got Lynch on loan. You've also still got Stavros on loan. Garcia is only 1 season away from becoming homegrown before I start loaning him out. Same with Vinicius, and this is my only issue, is these guys have got 1 season away from doing what I need them to do, so then we can loan them out, which obviously I want to be playing him as much as possible if that's the case. And Warren, I think his day is done being in the squad. So that's the team. What makes me think of doing this? 2 things. First things first, Skriniar's on a free, 32 years of age. I know he's old, but look at his stats as a defensive centre back on defend. He's still got 16 jumping reach, 15 pace, 17 strength, 18 natural fitness, which means he's probably going to keep these stats for a long while. This is a guy that can play to his 35, 36, 16 headering, 18 marking, 17 tackling, 18 determination, 6'2". I think he's great. The other one that I want to sign, if it happens, is at Liverpool. And his name is Virgil van Dijk, who, by the way, outside the pace being meh at 35, if you can get 2 years out of him or a year out of him, and he's tutoring more, and he's tutoring Linus, and it's Virgil and Skriniar tutoring them two, we have the potential for 2 guys that are going to be the next best centre-backs in the world, learning off 2 of the best centre-backs currently. That's my plan. Left back is up in the air. I don't know where I would go, if anything. But yeah, look, that is the plan. That's what I'm thinking. In terms of this episode YouTube, it's me coming back, showing you guys that we signed Skriniar or Van Dijk, or we haven't. But yeah, I'm thinking next year, my back four is going to be Meslier, Livramento, Skriniar, Van Dijk, and a new left back. And that as a bench. That would be world class. For me, that is a team that will defend the title. That's a team that should go win any Cabaret Cup final and not lose it this time. And that's a team that should be aiming to make it back to the Champions League semi-final plus. Here we are, YouTube. First one in is Milan Skriniar. Except that in comes the man from Real Madrid. He played 22 games for Real Madrid, 16 starts this season. Only had a 6.78. Real Madrid came third and had one of their worst years in La Liga. I'm okay with that though. I think he'll be perfectly fine here. Apparently Velez was learning to do overhead kicks. He looks, for me, he looks fantastic. Only wanted 150k a week to come in on a free. That's peanuts. He's going to come straight in and play central defender or defend. It's great. Second one though is Virgil, and he has got a bid in. He also has a bid in from Ajax to go back to Ajax and all the way back to the Netherlands, which is fair. Now, look, my issue with Verge is he's slow. 12 and 11. Now, he does have 17 natural finish, which means that over 2 years that he wants to be here, he wants to do 2 years, then retire. I do think his pace won't get any lower than 10 or 9. I would straight away probably work agility and balance to try and just keep that as it is as well. But yeah, it's one where I think we will do it if he says yes, and if he doesn't say yes, then so be it. It is what it is, but yeah, hopefully we'll come back and see what goes on. With that being said, I'll be back in a second. Skriniar's in. We'll look at Van Dijk, and then we'll look obviously for a left back as well. Well, YouTube, in a massive U-turn, Ajax and ourselves made bids, and Liverpool decided, you know what, we want him to retire at Liverpool, and they made an offer, and there we go. So with that being said, that is a kick in the guts. Also, we just rejected 55 mil up front. Plenty of 1.7 mil per appearance for Carter. Look, he's fantastic. I love him. I think he's fantastic. But I don't know how we're going to use him. That is for sure. Now, I've just offered him a new deal. as well. Has a 120 mil release fee, so we actually needed to reject that from West Ham and off we go. He wanted just 90k a week to stay. He wants to be an important player, and to be fair, if you look at him, he is an important player. He's fantastic. I really do think he's good. Is there a world where we go Livramento on one side and we go Carter on the other, or the other way around? Do we do this? Do we still do something like that? I'm not sure. I'm not too sure. I don't want to really play an inverted wingback, to be fair, either. But do we maybe, just to get both of them in, play one either side, knowing that they're both world class? Or do we just keep making sure we use Carter enough off the bench? Because Livramento's Livramento. I don't know. They could coexist. They definitely could coexist. I do think Livramento would still be fantastic out on the left. I still think Carter would be fantastic still out there on the left. I don't know what he really would like to do. I do think in that contract as well, he wanted to have an important, wanted to be an important player, and he also wanted to make sure that he played as a wing back. But I don't know if that's stipulated on the left or the right. I wasn't too sure. But yeah, look, offering him a new deal there, Carter, which is important. Maybe we look at making sure that our players, Livramento and Carter can coexist. Maybe. I don't think so. I actually think it's better we have Carter on the bench. Because we're not getting Van Dijk in, straight away it's Tomori. I'm just going to put in Jose Marcha here. But that's going to be, just imagine Skriniar, Tomori, and your backup's going to be Linus. And it's going to be a 16-year-old Moore who has got his headering from 8 to 10 in a year. And yeah, is starting to look more and more a centre-back. And I really do think by the time he's 17 or 18, he's already a Premier League level centre-back. Yeah, this kid's going to be really good as well. So look, get Skriniar, tick. Don't get Van Dijk, no tick. Carter's going to stay, big tick. Do we play him at right back and play Livramento at left back? Maybe. Do we just play both of them and make them coexist at right back? I think so.
Good morning, YouTube. It's like 6:30am and I've gotten up for another day of work. We have made a sale, and the reason why I want to speak about this particular sale, it's not impressive or anything, is I just want to talk about the backup goalkeeper position for a quick second. Jacob, great player, like good on him. I didn't particularly want to sell, but he keeps complaining about game time, and then he says he's happy. I do think getting 14.5 mil for him is ridiculous. If we get 13 up front plus 45% whatever United sell him on for in the future. So if he goes to United, doesn't play, it's sold for 20 mil, we're going to get, pretty much close to 10 mil for that. I'm over the moon. So, yeah. We also get 1.1 if he ends up playing 50 games for United, which I don't think happens. However, United only have Dean Henderson. So, I think there is a world where Jacob, being a Polish international, could actually go there and play games for United. So, yeah. But that's not the main reason why we're here. We're just going to accept that. I want to talk about a couple of the other sales that are potentially going on. And then, yeah. So, Demirel, player that we always look to sell. Obviously, Traswell didn't make that bid to go for 27 mil. I do think 18 is a bit low, but no one else wanted to bid more than 18 for him. And we've accepted bids from Inter, Milan, and Bordeaux. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this guy in FM. I love using him. I think he's fantastic. I really recommend you guys use him if you need a centre back. And you can get him cheap, like we did in this save. Right? We got him pretty cheap for what he was. We got him for 17, and we get our money back. Plus, we got 1.7 mil for his loan last year. So we make slight profit. We don't lose any money. And obviously, with the centre-backs that we got, Skriniar, Tomori, Linus, and Moore, and, Marcus Vinicius, because I'm going to keep him here one more year so he becomes homegrown, we obviously don't need Demirel. So that one's on the way out. Drewsbury Hall is the next one. We have accepted a 22.5 mil bid from Sheffield. Now, Drewsbury Hall came to me at the end of last year saying he wanted to leave. I'm not going to stop him. We got Reyes, we got Stravro out on loan one more year there at Hearts, so that's all perfectly fine. So we're going to do that. James Justin, we've accepted 15 mil from Leeds, and hopefully he goes. And then lucky last, Will Alves, for people that remember Will Alves, never really got on with his development after a couple of really good years for us. Not a guy I want to sell. However, by selling him, if he goes on and becomes fantastic somehow, then yeah, we could bring him back. I doubt it highly. He's 22. He's only got 2.5 star potential. I'd rather focus on the kids that we got here. 6.5 mil, still good profit, and it brings a lot of money back into the football club, which could lead me to signing maybe a backup right back. I'll talk about that in a second as well. Maybe signing no one because the squad's in a really good spot, and for the first time maybe in a while, focus on keeping our finances above parity this season. You never know, we might be able to do that too. Let's talk about Jacob, because he's leaving, right? So we had a good bid in for him. great backup keeper. He's actually Leicester for improved for people that do not know. Leicester picked him up at a young age, and then obviously he's been here ever since as the backup. Look, I'm not a fan of selling homegrown players. However, our backup keeper situation warrants it. If we go and move Preston into the backup keeper spot, all right, Preston, for people that don't know, came through our academy in 2022-23. He's also a 20-year-old English keeper. And if you have a look at him, he has got great one-on-one ability, 6'3", decent physicals, and not bad reflexes. If you have a look compared to Jacob as well, very, very similar. Preston's a better shot stopper and got more eccentricity, which I don't mind in the sweeper keeper. Yes, I will say Jacob's a bit more well-rounded as a keeper, a little bit more physical, got a touch more height, touch more mentals. But what I like about Adam is he's got the right areas covered. He's got the determination and he's got the technical ability that isn't too bad at all. And with game time, he's only going to develop, and we barely give him game time. So hopefully this year, with a couple good games in the Champions League, and a couple of games here around in the Premier League, Adam Preston's going to be our new backup keeper, and I think he's really good. And also, if he hits his potential, he's a good to leading keeper. He's also labelled next to David Seaman, which, look, I will happily take any time as well for Adam Preston. Lucky last, remember the kid called Ivan Ramos, the guy that came through our academy last year in season 4, our 5-star prospect? Looking fantastic. He's only 17, very well rounded. If he continues his development, will be great. Got to give him game time here in pre-season, of course, to help him with his development as well. And I do think he's going to be the future number 2 at the football club. And if he hits his potential, he will replace Melier eventually as our number 1 keeper, because he will become Spain's number 1 keeper. So obviously another very good keeper. But yeah, main go with this is Preston's homegrown. Preston replaces Jacob, who's also homegrown. Preston's also English, which helps with Champions League. And Ivan Ramos is still here, who's homegrown as well. So, look, we're in a good spot with the squad. So I feel like selling our backup keepers fine. We're also selling Dewsbury Hall. We're also selling Demaril. We're also selling Alves, which means that unless we get a big bid for Marsa, and he's wanted by Barca and by Monaco, if he goes, we're going to recoup a lot of money back on these players, and that's going to leave us in a really good position with a lot of money in the club, finding our finance under control. And here we don't really need to spend too much, and that's mainly down to the fact that Carter's got a new deal. He got an 80 mil bid from Wolves, rejected it, wanted to stay with 90k a week, gave him the contract for him to stay. His promise was, I want to be an important player and play right back, locked in. I was like, okay, no problems. And we're going to move Livramento out to the left-hand side, who I still think is fantastic. I still think we'll have a very, very good season out on the left-hand side. And we're going to have Luke Thomas to the bench, which is really good. Lucky last, that means we need a new backup right back now. We've had a look for a backup right back. I firstly looked for experienced backup right backs. Kyle Walker, retired. Trippier, retired. Trent's only 28, so not leaving Liverpool anytime soon. Nothing happened. I look for backup right backs. No one as a kid is a good backup right back, apart from an 18-year-old at Inter that's worth 30 mil, who looks really good. Like, don't get me wrong. Don't know if it's my last search that I did last night. We're looking at this, like Reece James not coming in, whatever. So, like, if I was looking for a guy to come in and tutor, Max Aarons, Wan-Bissaka, but if he's got no determination, so he's not really a tutorer, right? Kyle Walker-Peters, yet again, not really a tutorer. So, with that being said, and then the right backs being really poor, I've actually gone and decided to get in Jamal Zan to see if he actually hits some potential. Had a great loan at Crewe, okay loan at OHL. The loan at Crewe really developed him a lot. Where he's not good technically, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stats, 15 plus, which means he's going to be a great up and down attacking fullback. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 stats, potential to be 15 plus. That means he's going to have pretty elite physicals and pretty elite mentals. Yes, his technicals will wane, but a lot of them are 9s and 10s, which will get to 11s and 12s pretty easily, which means for me, he could hit that potential and become very usable as a backup right back. So instead of me going out there, buying a backup right back, sticking with the theme, Jamal Zan, one of our youth prospects from our own academy, is going to come in and be the backup right back, which means our team looks pretty set on paper. I know there's been a very lengthy, a little bit of the episode. I'm very rambly first thing in the morning. But yeah, obviously that is what it is. Lucky last, let's look at pre-seasons all set. We got Villa in the Community Shield. Newcastle, Spurs, Chelsea, Man United to start. That is a very big first 4. It does mean that we're going to have a little bit more weaker sides in and around the Champions League, which is probably good for us to finish in the top 8. That means we can rotate against those weaker sides like Stoke, Norwich, Forest, Bournemouth, all those sort of stuff. But yeah, look, really tough run to start with. Not much rotation happening there. But if we can go out there in those first 4 games and win most, if we can win 3 of those 4, if we can beat Newcastle away, Spurs, and United or / Chelsea away, that would be huge. And then, yeah, hopefully we're not too far bound in pace after that first 5 because Brentford are no mugs as well. So, yeah, that's going to be the next part of this episode is these guys are going to officially leave. I'm going to recap how much they left for. Should be for everything I've just showed you. And then from there, we're going to play the opening day of the season against Newcastle. No, I'm going to give you still Villa. I'm still going to give you the Community Shield because it's not often we play Aston Villa. We can go and recap the FA Cup run and then obviously see if we win that Community Shield to go back to back. I think that's going to be the plan as well.
Here we are, YouTube. Another world-class signing. I didn't think I was going to do this, but there's a couple reasons as to why I have. Firstly, Unai Emery's gone back to Arsenal. So, good evening times back at Arsenal Football Club after they had a very poor year last year. First thing he's done is he's listed one of the best midfielders in FM, Manuel Ugrate, up for 33 mil. And as much as we're world class, and as much as I love Lavia, and as much as I love Thuram, comparing him to both those midfielders, this guy as a ball-winning midfielder is next level. Like, he is going to take Lavia's spot, so I'll just show you him against Lavia. As a defending ball-winning midfielder, outrageous. If Lavia's on my bench, coming off my bench, your squad's world class. And at the end of the day, yes, the long term of this save is how good can we make this homegrown talent that I've got. We also have to think, well, you haven't won the Champions League yet. We just lost the Champions League final. We still haven't won the Calvary Cup as well, but that will happen eventually, you feel. Let's go and enjoy some world-class talent while we still can. So, Manuel Ugrate for 33 mil is nothing. We have 167 mil in the balance. Damien, what the hell happened there? I'll tell you what happened, boys. We're going to go in order. Is obviously we had the bids that were getting in. Demirel, James Justin, Will Alves, as mentioned, Giuliano. Out of nowhere, Milan said 22.5 mil for Drewsbury Hall, and I said yes, buy. But more importantly, Ronnie, who got a loan spell to PSG, couldn't get any interest out of nowhere. Saudi Arabia just like 40 mil. Yes, I'll buy. So yeah, Ronnie's gone as well, which means that this squad has had a serious amount of money brought into it. Obviously, we had Skriniar on a free. People won't know who Ricardo Mayes is, so just quickly recapping, I can't remember if I talked about him this morning, is bought him from Man United. Bought him when he was 18, just turned 19, or turned him 18, so he can become homegrown still. Has just got really, really, really good stats. Don't plan on loaning him out. He could be really good in the 21s. I'm going to specifically talk about the 21s in a second. My next thing that I want to discuss, though, with Manuel Ugrate coming in and officially joining here before we play Villa, and this is all going to be one part, we will have Villa right now as well, is it allows me to do a couple of things with a couple of the players that we do have in and around the first team squad. Going to show you pre-season, but mainly Fuller has been outrageous. Squad register in Ugrate straight away as well. Wherever you are, buddy. Right, you're in. Yep, and we need to give him a squad number, which Manuel Uruguay, going to give him the 16. Right, in he is. He's a fantastic footballer. I love him, in terms of coming in. But it allows me to do some really, really cool things with the rest of the squad. Now, these two players I am going to speak about specifically, so I'm going to do this now. Is if you have a look at my squad before I pick it, right, we need to somehow drop between Jose Marshall didn't get any interest. I'm going to keep him as a backup centre-back because if he's playing backup centre-back, you have a really good squad, right? If I need to somehow still find minutes for Linus, I still have to find minutes for Marshall, I still have to find minutes for Moore, it means Linus probably is taking up a bench spot as a mid-ball-winning midfielder. If we think Reyes is this good, and Reyes for me needs to play this year with us because I think he could become world-class, what am I going to do elsewhere? We need to make a sale or we need to find room. Then all of a sudden you do what I've just done, someone else has to drop out this team, out of a centre attacking midfield spot. And for me, it's Garcia coming out, which I know is crazy because he's very good. All of a sudden, you've got Lavia coming to this bench as well, right? And Garcia comes out for you, great, but this midfield is world class. And to be fair, I would change my ball-winning midfielder on defend because he's just that good at being a ball-winning midfielder, right? All of a sudden, this team world-class. You've got a world-class centre defensive mid, world-class centre-back in Skriniar, world-class keeper, Alfie, thank you for the follow, and a world-class front four. Now, Smith Rowe's obviously injured. Let's get into pre-season, the under-21s, and who we're loaning out. So pre-season, absolutely romped it. More importantly, though, if you have a look through the list, Fuller, 2 goals. Fuller, a goal. Fuller, everywhere since the injury of Smith Rowe. He's not going to be fit enough to play. I am going to play Kane Fuller today. Saying that, though, with Kane Fuller, he can't become homegrown because we bought him too late at Charlton. But what we have done is grown him to a point where he's very well rounded. We've got his self up to 2.5 star. It's now time to loan him while we have these other players in and around to give him minutes. Now, that has an impact on what I want to do with the 21s. Because if we go here and go to the under 21s, for instance, if we have a look at who played in the 21s here, we go to the under 21s and we might be able to see the tactic of it. If I go to here, right, is have a look who played. Fake it outfit for the follow as well. I think that's going to be getting spam botted or something. But with that being said, have a look who played. Fuller in the hole, Magic, Garcia, Albad, Reyes, Dino, Warren, Moore, Venetians, Zan, Preston. This is a team that I want to keep an eye on this year because I want the 21s to win the comp this year. But if we're loaning out Fuller and we're loaning out Warren, who, by the way, has finally started to develop and now he's homegrown here at Leicester. And this is the other thing. A homegrown talent for the future. He is homegrown, as you can see here, 15 to 21. We need to start loaning these guys out for them to become good. So, with that being said, Warren's on his way out to go do that. Phillips, unfortunately, has just fallen short, but we've had too good loan bids, and my plan is to keep Macias against his will until he's here for 3 years. So I'm going to loan Phillips out to hope he becomes good. This loan spell for him to go to Bristol was way too good. Important player in the championship as their main number 9. Go get your minutes, right? And they're both going to develop. But let's talk about Fuller's loan spell because that's really huge for what's going on here too. And now it's Usberg who got state-of-the-art facilities playing a diamond where you pay 10 up front. Or it's to SMCN, who, by the way, got relegated in this game and now have come back up, and they look fantastic. By the way, if this guy plays left back, we had a guy with the same name in our Glory Hunter save that was world class. But yeah, with the same thing, he could either play in the 10 or up front. It's 2 really good loans in top flight football. If Kane Fuller's going to become world class, ladies and gentlemen, he needs to go and play minutes right now for a first team. And what that means is that we move Alex Scott as the backup 10. We now get you great in, Lavia as the backup 6 with Reyes. On the bench, Linus might play minutes in games that we're dominating, but Marshall and Linus, all of a sudden, this backup 11 is next level. Now, I have kept Zand in this backup in the bench where obviously other players could probably warrant that. I don't have another backup right back because Carter and Livramento would swap out if one of them got injured, but Zand is obviously that backup, so he needs to be there too. So, as you can tell, we've got a lot of depth. What that means is Smith Rowe will come back into this team and Fuller will start, right? But we've got Preston, we've got Garcia, we've got Vinicius, you've got Moore, you've got Ramos. All these guys are guys that look outrageous and are ready to, make the step up, but they've got to impact the under 21s and hopefully help the 21s win the league this year. That is the goal. Now, I know that was a very lengthy, discussion about that. But yeah, if you have a look at what our scouts think of these guys, decent Premier League player. Have a look at what they think of Warren. They reckon Warren could become one of our best players. They reckon he could become better than Luke Thomas. And he's homegrown and he's a kid. So, and he's gone to Legia, which is great. Alex Scott, because he's homegrown here, which, we bought him at such a young age, is going to stay and Fuller's going to go out because that's really good. Jose Marsh wants a new contract. That's interesting. This is all happening in the same episode. I don't want to give him an important player status. I'm happy to give you regular starter and do the rest. I should have just done it. We talked him out of it at least. Wasn't meant to be part of the YouTube episode. I do apologise that these start of the season ones are the longest videos. I do apologise yet again. It's important for you guys to understand our thought process. Who we're loaning out, who's for the future, who's ones that we're bringing in for now. Carter's good enough to be starting, as mentioned, right? This is a world-class team. With a world-class team that has to start spilling to the bench. And it will, as it's starting to now. And hopefully these other guys that we loan out are really good. Now, Dolan's going? No. See, if the 21s are winning, I'm not loaning these guys out. Preston to Dortmund for money? No. Not happening yet again, right? not selling 2 backup keepers in the same window, and Preston's a really good backup keeper. I could actually play him today to give him minutes, and I might because it's the Community Shield, and why not? Very Liverpool-esque. But yeah. Stavro, by the way, this is someone that we need to think about for next season too. Ball-winning midfielder in the middle of the park. We just signed another one, but this is what we want to be discussing and thinking. With this being said, Kane Fuller is going to come in. This might be his last game that he plays for us this season, but for me, giving him minutes in the form he's in doesn't bother me because my idea is that his loan spell will make him come back and be part of the first team anyway. Melier is going to come out. I am going to give Preston a game here. I just think it's important to give Preston minutes where possible. I think he's just a good enough footballer and keeping him happy is fine. Outside of that, the first team is the first team. It's Carter, Skriniar, Tomori, Livramento. Very good back four. Livramento dual-footed, so don't mind playing him on the left. Tarum and you're great starting for his first game in charge with us. Obviously, Arsenal haven't been using him. His fitness is not there. Elise, Kane Fuller, Asan and Velez. So a very good side. And we've obviously got players on the bench, you know. Marsha, if needed, great. Thomas, great. Linus, fantastic. Reyes, great. Lavia, good. Scott, good. Yaya, great. Silva, great. So I'm very happy with them as well. Let's get into it. Hopefully beat Villa. We actually wanted to see how Villa went in the FA Cup. So the reason we're playing Villa is they did win the FA Cup last season. If we go to the Premier League table, we go into stages and we go have a look where Villa did finish. Villa finished in 8th, which is a very good, respectable finish for Villa. If we also go back to their season last season, they went on a run in the FA Cup and they did win it, obviously, because they're playing us today. They beat Bristol, Sheffield, Burnley, Everton, beat City in a penalty shootout and beat Newcastle in extra time. That's a very good result from this Aston Villa side. If we have a look at the FA Cup final, you know, Villa played in a 4-4-2 with Richarlison and Gnonto. Very, very good front two. Elmas, Luiz, Tielemans and Bailey, very solid again. Diogo Carlos and Kamara and Cash and Martinez, also very good. I expect in real life this team to be very, very good. They've got Konsa, Pobega as well, Alex Moreno. It is a very well-built Villa side. The only thing I will say is Emery's just been poached to go back to Arsenal from there. So it'd be interesting to see how a new manager goes with them. But in real life, they're a team that I'm very excited by to watch this season as well. Let's get into it here. Obviously, big game in pre-season for Aston Villa. This is like their cup final. This is like massive, another piece of silverware. We won this competition last year. For me, you know, playing Preston in this game kind of shows you what I'm thinking about with this game here. I'm also going to make the change here for Preston. Oh, Elise's injured. Is that so? I was going to make a change here to go and just make sure he's a goalkeeper, doesn't do anything much. When is this guy never injured? Silva comes in. Elise just gets injured so often, it's not fair. You know, the reason why he's still here is because when he's so fit, he's great. But yeah, Elise injured. You're great taking the corner, which I don't like. We've hit the bar and it's come out. Skriniar of all people. Silva. Down the line. Into you, great. Who I'd rather be winning the ball back or in the box because of how tall he is. Velez. Out to Tomori. And that's the highlight. A dominating display here. 22 minutes in. We've had not 10 shots, 2 on target, and 68% of the ball. No goal, but we're looking really, really good. I'm also going to just get stuck in off here because I don't want the red cards for the start of the season. Dobson with a ball looking for Leon Bailey. Tomori will control. And that's a really poor touch. If we continue our first chance, I'm going to be livid. Sum up everything. Great wins it back. He's so good at winning it. Fuller. Looking for Silva with the spread. Just didn't play it wide enough. And to be fair, it should have been Carter bombing on. He wins it back though. Now, Carter is a defensively minded fullback. Pretty decent. Going forward, also not too bad as well. Very happy with him. Tarum on a run. You great finds Asan. Asan now looking for Velez. It's a pretty good ball. Velez puts it wide. Big chance missed. 28 minutes played, same old Leicester from last year. We underperformed by 11 goals last season. I don't want to have that sort of season. We've already had 13 shots in the cover and the Community Shield, and we haven't scored. It's very similar to last year for me. With that being said here, approaching half-time, another highlight. Livramento wins that ball back. He will turn around and find Tomori. Tomori now. Ball inside of you, great. Into the Livramento. Finds Asan. Looks for Fuller, the Australian. Good touch out. Livramento, Asan, Livramento. Good. We knock it around very well. Tomori's looked very comfortable at left centre back as well. Skriniar, Tarum, Silva. Great ball to Carter. Good ball in here and we can score. That is a great ball. Asan should score. That is a great goal. and 1-0. If it ain't Velez at 6'7", it's Hassan at 6'4". Carter got a few assists last season. I expect that to continue now that he's in the first team. He's also been capped by England over the pre-season break. Has Carter, and Hassan heads home, and we lead 1-0. We deserve that goal too, right on half-time. 16 shots in the half. Very happy with that. Obviously, we're now sweating Elise's injury. If it is a long-term injury, it is what it is. But we have obviously options that can deal with that. I don't like that it's a long-term injury. Trust me, I'd rather him be fit. He's world-class. But yeah, Skriniar wins the ball back. And he looks inside of Tomori. Finds you great. Great ball to Livramento. He drives. Livramento coming inside, which I don't mind from my fullback. Carter, Silva, Velez. Good finish. Was he onside is the question. I think he was. He wasn't, according to the game. Velez has not scored. Carter. Oh, look at that. He's level by a mile. He's onside by a mile game. What is that? That's a really bad call from VAR. It was onside by a mile. 52 minutes played. It is 1-0. We've looked good. Carter, Silva to run. Great ball looking for a sun back stick. Good header. Just like that. Pretty much the game plan. Get the ball, put it to the big guy who's on the fullback, which is either Velez or Son, and score. And well worked. To run, Carter, he's good at whipping a ball in, is the regen. And well, Son scores for a brace at the back stick. With that being said, if anyone is now fit enough to come off, they will, and we got quite a few. So, who's not fit on the bench is what's going to come out. So, Marsh hasn't played many minutes. I'm going to just get him off for Tomori. I'm going to get Luke Thomas in as well, because he hasn't played many minutes. Reyes is going to come in for you, great, who's had a, maybe we'll get him in for Tarum as a deeper line playmaker and support. Allowed 6 substitutions. Fuller can go into the wind and get his loan. And we're going to get Yaya in for Hassan because, it's pretty much game over and Hassan scored a brace and off we go. There we are. So that's 6 changes made to give people fitness. And yeah, time ticks away here, leading the Community Shield final by a mile. We've absolutely dominated here against Villa. They've changed their lineup. They've gone a bit more narrow with 2 behind a striker. Carter wins a header, but they almost handballed it, but it gives it back to us, which is fine. Then we lose out. So, weird highlight. Ball goes back line towards Diego Carlos. Good press. We don't win, but it will fall to Thomas. Forced them long. Yaya, Thomas, Jose Marsha inside. No. Marsha goes back a line. Preston, Skriniar. Great ball to Carter. Goes on a driving run and then gives it away again. Weird highlight this. We've given the ball back to Villa a couple of times. This is going to be a Villa goal and this game's going to get turned on its head, isn't it? Tielemans in the Kamara. Ball in the Minors. Cash. Tielemans. Minors. Here it is. Great save from Preston, actually. The under-21 keeper makes a world-class save. There's a difference. Usually we concede them, so that's a great save. And yeah, on a day where we should have been 4-0 up, we gave them a chance, but we got away with it. A goal for Villa makes things interesting. Instead, Reyes wins a header, but it's only going to be far as Tielemans. Feel like we're getting dominated here. Yet again, the ball falls back to them after an interception. Deflected falls to their keeper, to Mina, who heads over. Things are just falling to Aston Villa at the moment, late doors. Saying that, though, we are going to be Community Shield winners for the 2nd year in a row. Another great way to start the season. Community Shield winners tick. Obviously, some young signings, some world-class signings in Skriniar and New Great, and some big loans for the future of the save after we won everything. We will really focus on these guys that we brought in these seasons to provide for future seasons. So the likes of Fuller, the likes of Warren, the likes of Lynch, all going out on loan to First Division sides to go and apply their trade. They could all come back ready to go next season. We have a world-class squad for now. We've got a bit more of a world-class depth, and we've got kids that are going to become a lot better as well. With that being said, if you've really enjoyed today's episode and you really enjoyed these longer episodes where I dive into the squad a little bit more, we do talk a bit more about the squad, let me know in the comment section down below. Give the episode a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Next episode, I know we played Liverpool a lot down the years, but that should probably be around a Champions League game, so it will probably more than likely be Liverpool and a big game in the Champions League and a recap of the horrid start of the season that we had, which is Newcastle, Spurs, Chelsea and United. Brentford are no mugs either. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you and goodbye.